In this video, I'm going to be going through and ranking each and every support unit in Star Wars Shatterpoint right now. Hey guys, Rich from Rich Big Gaming. Hope everyone is doing fantastically. Welcome to this, another Star Wars Shatterpoint video and the third and final video in our quick update series where we're taking a look at every single character in the game, or every single unit in the game I should say, and ranking them using the good old S through D scale. We've done the primaries, we've done the secondaries, and now it's time to get onto the support. So without further ado, let's jump over and make a start. Okay then guys, so just a quick reminder as to how we are doing these and how the rankings will work. As I mentioned, it's going to be S through to D. S is going to be absolutely exceptional. They're going to be a real key unit in their given faction. Now we know again there are no factions in this game, but there are keywords such as Galactic Republic, Dathomirian, etc, etc. A is just going to be very, very good indeed. B is going to be absolutely fine. Really, really good character, but, you know, nothing wrong with them whatsoever. Middle of the road. C tier is going to be, they're okay. You can play them, but it may be that there are alternatives usually within the given faction at the same points cost, or indeed there may be just some better options that you can take. And then D tier is really going to be do not touch. There are much, much better options, and these are the cards that are probably going to want to see some sort of errata in the not too distant future. So with all that down, we're going to be going through the Galactic Republic characters first, and because of alphabetical order, let's start off and take a look at the 104th Wolf Pack Troopers. They've got run and gun. I really, really like this. It means that you can get them into combat. You can potentially even, you know, make a move and then pay 1 for the run and gun. It also means that they're not reliant. You don't feel like you have to take them with Obi-Wan Kenobi. These guys are going to be much more of a melee focused. They're costing 4. They've got 8 and 2 durability and stamina. Pack Hunter's really nice. They've got coordinated fire strain, which is again quite nice. Take a quick look at their oops, there we go. Take a quick look at their stance card here. You know, they're a 4 cost. They get those extra dice on the melee. They're not particularly great at melee defense though, which is a little bit annoying. But access to up to 3 shoves, but you know, 1 shove on 2 is quite nice. But as you can see, getting 1 expertise is really where these guys are going to shine. So yeah, I think these guys are pretty darn good. I've been playing with them quite a bit. I've been playing with them quite a lot under the new Clone Sergeant Hunter from the Bad Batch, which has been very, very effective indeed. I really like these guys. I think there's absolutely nothing wrong with them whatsoever. They don't necessarily have a lot of competition at that 4 cost. There's a couple of other units for the Galactic Republic, but I think, you know, right now for a 4 cost unit, these are probably my go-to outside of one other unit. So because of that, I think they're perfectly fine. Nothing wrong with them whatsoever. They are going to go into B tier. I've had a lot of fun playing with them and would highly recommend trying them out. Okay, then next up is going to be the 212th Clone Troopers. Again, another 4 cost. These guys are going to be 7-2 on their durability. They've got the pretty standard defensive maneuver. They've got the brothers in arms, and this time they're bringing the coordinated fire pin, which I do really like. I do really like the fact that these guys do give out pin. Let's take a quick look at their stance card. Yeah, and this is one of the problems with these guys. It's just not very good. only having four options on there, especially when you're rolling 6 dice, potentially up to 7 with a focus. It kind of feels really bad. The damage is very, very top heavy. I'd have much preferred to see maybe a damage on there with the expose, then maybe 2 damage, and then maybe another 2 damage with something else on there, or maybe a dash in there as well, just something else, just to give these guys a little bit more. I'm not a fan. I've tried playing with these guys. I've tried sort of almost every combination now with the Bad Batch, which I think are definitely going to be my squads of choice. By the way, I'm absolutely loving playing them at the moment, but. Yeah, these guys, again, they cost 4. I don't think they are the worst. I don't think they are the worst in there. Or are they the worst 4? Do you know what, guys? They're probably... Not only are they the worst 4 threat, or the 4 cost, sorry, I need to stop saying threat. That's the MCP coming out. Not only are they, in my opinion, the worst 4 cost in Galactic Republic, I actually think there is a 3 threat that is better. So because of that, they are actually going to go into D tier. Okay, 501st Clone Troopers. These guys, again, defensive maneuver, coordinated fire strain, brothers in arms. They're a 7/2. These guys do only cost 3. So for those 7 cost primaries, these guys do give you an option. But let's go and take a quick look at their tree as well. 3 expertise gives you 1 success that can be blocked. Yes, they're rolling 7 dice. I'd argue they've got a slightly better, arguably slightly better combat tree than the 212th. But man, that expertise is shockingly bad. So bad. And because of that, guys, I can't put them anywhere else other than D tier. And you'll see in a second, what we are comparing these two, because these guys were a necessity at some point in this game. They are less so now, unless you want to take a very specific combination of primaries for Galactic Republic. Let's say you're running Anakin and Mace Windu or something like that. Then these guys do kind of come into play, but there's really no reason to take them unless you are playing that sort of way. Okay, let's talk about some guys who are not D tier, and that's going to be the ARF Clone Troopers, the other 3 cost option for the Galactic Republic. Again, defensive maneuvers, brothers in arms, things we've seen a lot. They're also a 7/2 because they're a 3 cost. Coordinated fire, expose. Boy, is that so good. In my opinion, probably the best coordinated fire in the game is coordinated fire expose. It just turns off all of the defensive tech of your opponent, especially going into a primary. The fact that these are a support unit, so you can have them on either side of the board. And then they also have lay low, right? When they've got a hunker token on them, they're getting extra defense dice as well. So they're actually a little bit more survivable than some of the others. Look, their combat tree is not great. Shove on 2 is fine. Their expertise at range is not bad. Again, there's only 4 options on here, but you've got to remember these cost a point less than the 212th. Their damage output isn't quite as much, but really what we're loving these guys for is that expose on that coordinated fire. Giving out that guaranteed exposed is so good. They can also then dish out another expose. Obviously, they can't do an expose for themselves, but they've got an expose they can dish out there. They've also got a disarm. and they've got a pin. Now you're only ever going to get 2 of them. But look, these guys are back point holders. You're not going to get them up close and personal. You really just want them within that range 5 bubble of your opponent, just so you can get that expose off. For me, these guys are very, very good indeed. And I'm kind of torn between top end of A. Do you know what, guys? I think for me, if we're talking about, and this is how we have to look at this, if we're talking about Galactic Republic, I will take ARF Troopers and play a point down rather than taking some of these 4 costs. And I think that just shows how very, very good they are. So for me, because they're a 3 cost, they are going to go into that S tier. I don't think they're going to end up at the top of S tier, but they are going to go into S tier. I just think they are exceptional. For 3 points, they do so much. And I think they're only going to get better and better with time as more and more Galactic Republic characters come out. So yeah, there we go. Hate on me if you want. Next up, the newest addition to this list. There's some ones that we haven't gone through before, but I think the list has doubled almost. I think pretty much doubled since we last did any of these. But it is going to be Echo and Tech. They cost 4. I've been lucky enough to be able to play quite a few games with these already, but let's take this opportunity just to break their card down a little bit. So starting off, as I mentioned, they are a 4 cost, as we can, oh, you couldn't see, but I could see. They're a 7-2 durability and stamina. They've got fight smarter, not harder. Choose an active objective within 3 that is controlled by an opposing enemy player and remove 1 of this unit's hunker tokens. If any hunker tokens were removed, remove the opposing player's control token from the chosen objective. Now, we've had something similar to this on the Grand Inquisitor, and I didn't put really any value on it, but actually this is doing a lot more, a hell of a lot more. Now, the range isn't as good on it, I don't believe, anyway, off the top of my head, but this is going to be one of those that it's a clutch thing, right? Like, you know, it's going to be one of those where you just want to take it off your opponent. Maybe they've got 1 person on there, you've got 1 person on there, so you take it off them, and then it means they need to do something to get that back next round. So it's not going to affect the VPs that you score this round, but it is going to have a detrimental effect on them next round as well. So I do quite like that. Keep low profile, it's going to cost a 4. It's defensive maneuver. You get to make a dash and then you gain a hunker token. So, you know, pretty darn good. Forward planning, it's going to be reactive ability. When an allied primary unit within 4 or an allied secondary unit within 4 starts its activation, this unit may use this ability. The activating unit may remove 1 condition from itself. This has come in clutch quite a few times now when I've been playing them. Just for those characters that have got a pain or a strain or something that's really going to affect their movement, or even, you know, even something like a disarm where, you know, they're not going to be as effective in combat. Really like it. Really good. Again, it's not game-breaking by any stretch of the imagination, but it's pretty darn solid. And then lastly, the brains of the batch. While this unit has 1 or more hunker tokens, characters in this unit add 1 die to their attack and defense rolls. So let's work the math out on there then for a moment. So a hunker token gives you 1 extra defense dice at range. This is going to be at range unless you're playing, you know, under Obi-Wan. So it's going to give you 1 for the hunker. You're then going to get 1 extra for this. So that's 2 extra defense dice. And then if you've got cover, you're going to get an extra defense. So 3 defense dice in total. And the fact that they can generate their own hunker tokens is pretty darn good. They're the Bad Batch, they're Clone Trooper, they're Galactic Republic, and they're Scoundrel. Scoundrel's really interesting because it does potentially give them some playability with some of the other new characters that we've had as well. And then we've got Military Intelligence. They're going to be 6-5 on their range 4, and then 6-4 on their melee. pretty standard. They do have that modified commando armor, so it does mean that on the 3 expertise they get the heal, which is quite nice. Expertise, I mean, it's pretty good. 1 expertise on range is going to get you 1 crit, which is nice. Advanced combat training, again, pretty solid. You got to remember these guys are a support unit. They've got a number of shoves in there, so they've got access to 2 shoves. They can trigger one of their abilities for free. They've got a reposition. They can dish out pin. They can do a double heal. They've got a strain on 1. I really like these guys. I think, I'm going to be liking them a hell of a lot more as I play more and more games with the Bad Batch. As I mentioned, they do cost 4. Which is fine, that sits perfectly within there. For me, I actually think that the support unit is the weakest part of the Bad Batch, but trust me, something needed to be, because the rest of them are impressively good. So for me, they're going to go into B tier, and they are going to go just behind the Wolf Pack. I think Galactic Republic overall, they sit behind the Wolf Pack. Bad Batch only, if you're running a Bad Batch primary or the Bad Batch primary, these are guys are going to be an auto include because they benefit from a number of things that Hunter brings. But I think overall, Wolfpack are just a little bit more rounded in terms of what they do. Okay, moving on to some older ones now then. Naboo Royal Handmaidens, again, another 4 cost. They're an 8-2 for durability and stamina. Exposed flank, it's going to cost 1. Each character in this unit may climb. We have to remember a climb action lets you basically use a short movement tool, and you can end your movement at any elevation, so you don't have to change elevations to be able to use the climb. But it is important to note that if you are if you're engaged, you can't use the climb mechanic, so you wouldn't be able to do this, I don't believe, if you are engaged. But if any character ends this movement at a higher elevation than it began, characters in this unit have Sharpshooter 1 until the end of the turn, and this unit immediately makes a focus action. This is really good. This, in terms of a opening move to be able to do, this is very good indeed. The action economy in here is very nice for the force that you're paying. So you're going to get a dash, you're going to then trigger Sharpshooter 1, which is going to give you 1 extra dice on top of your 1 for your focus, and you get to make the focus action for free, so it's all tied into each other. Really like it. Coordinated fire, disarm, little bit more niche. Where this can work really nicely is if you've got a character that has the ability to clap back. So somebody like a Maul, somebody like a Darth Vader Jedi Hunter, putting that disarm on them before you attack them can be a really nice way of, if you do manage to take them out, just mitigating that 5 dice attack that they're going to do back to you. And then lastly, we've got Intercede. While this unit is not wounded, enemy characters engaged with 1 or more characters in this unit cannot target primary characters or allied secondary characters with attacks. Very identical to the MagnaGuard. Quick look at their combat tree. It's okay. The jump on 1 is nice. The lack of crits at range, I think they hurts them a little bit. They've got a little bit of dice manipulation on there with agile defense, but it's really nothing to write home about. One of the big things that they really struggle with is they don't have access to a push, which for me is a really big problem. I want my support units, because you know that for the vast majority of times, your support units are not going to be able to take another unit out unless that unit's already taken some damage, or unless you've made some other investment with exposers and things like that, or get very lucky on the rolls. These guys, even over 2 attacks, you probably wouldn't expect them to be able to, take much out. 5 dice, let's say that goes up to 7 because of the Sharpshooter and the focus. Maybe 2 or 3 results on average, meaning that they're going to be doing 4 damage. It's okay, but that lack of shove for me, I'm really not a fan of. Again, if you're playing the sort of Handmaiden pack, then you're obviously going to be taking these. But I think if we're looking at them just inside the Galactic Republic and comparing them to everything else, for me right now, I'm not a big fan of the Handmaidens. Again, they've got some nice synergy with what they do, but I would even say, you know, if you really wanted to play the Handmaidens, you could even take a different option. Maybe not. For me, I think because they are perfectly fine with what they do with the Handmaidens, they're going to go in B tier, but they're very much down the bottom end of B tier, almost C tier, I would say, purely because I just really don't like the fact that they don't have access to that push, and then they don't do a lot of other things as well. It's not like they're going to be taking out characters. Okay, let's move on to the Republic clone Commandos. Defensive maneuver, coordinated fire, damage this time. Brothers in Arms, which we've seen before, but a couple of new things is, first of all, ascension cables. Characters in this unit have scale. So basically what that means is whenever you would make a movement, you can essentially climb with that movement. So that defensive maneuver that they have that lets them dash means that they can use that to change elevation, which can be hugely important when it comes to, especially those opening moves where you want to get on top of a point to be able to, contest that point as well. They've also got commando armor, so these guys have protection, which is why they're only a 6-2 for durability and stamina. Typically, this is going to make them an 8-2 if you don't heal them up, but if you do heal them up, guys, the value in protection goes up and up and up for every attack that they take, and they're not wounded. Because it's stopping one every single time. Important to note, protection only works against attacks. It doesn't work against any other type of damage. So not so fast from Jango Fett, for example, that isn't going to work against it. Let's have a quick look at their combat card, or their stance card even. Look, these guys also don't have access to a push, but I feel like it's a little bit different because of that expertise tree. 1 crit, and if you look at the damage they can do, they've got 8 damage in there, which can be quite nice. But again, I do have to knock them down a little bit because they don't have access to that push. I think it's such an important part of this game, and as I'm playing more and more games now, I'm valuing movement more than attacks in this game. The ability to move yourself without using an action is very, very good. The ability to move your opponent is very, very good. So again, I think because of that lack of pushes, they are going to go into that B tier because I think they're perfectly fine. But again, they're going to go to that bottom end, and I could see them being knocked down quite a little. I mean, do you know what, guys? I'm gonna mid-game alteration. No, actually, we're gonna leave it as it is. I think that's fine. I think that's perfectly fine. And yeah, so there we go. That is going to be all of the Galactic Republic characters done. Now let's move on to the Separatists, and we're going to be starting out with the B1 Battle Droid. So one of the 3 cost options for the Separatists. They've got a few things on here. So 9-2 durability and stamina, combat AI protocols. After an allied battle droid unit makes a combat action, choose one of the targeted select characters within 4 of all characters in this unit. So they both have to be within 4. The chosen character gains strain or expose. This is really, really nice. It also works when they attack as well. A lot of people often forget that. They've got a big base, which actually really does help in this game. It helps not only with the amount of movement that you can make, but it also helps with blocking objectives. That's become something that can be really, really good in this game. Well, I guess I'm in charge now. When this unit's order card will be placed in reserve, its controlling player may place it on the bottom of their order deck instead. So you still have to pay the force, but you can put them to the bottom of your order deck. Being able to control and manipulate where cards are going to come out, so you know. So you know that they're bottom. So if you've got 4 cards left, it reduces the number of potential cards that you're going to pull next, which can be really, really nice. And then I hate this job. You know, they've got protection if they are contesting 1 or more active objective tokens. Let's take a quick look at their stance card. A reasonable amount of damage output. They do have a shove, but it's only available on 4 successes. The things that these guys have is a lot of movement, a hell of a lot of movement. And when you sort of layer everything on top that you get with these guys, in particular when you're playing them with Kalani, they're really, really good. So they're rolling 8 dice on average without a focus or anything. Reposition on 1 is very, very nice indeed. Expose on 3 can be really good. And then, as I mentioned, you've got that shove on 4. Again, they have a lackluster expertise at range. They don't have access to crit, but they are only a 3 versus the 4 cost that we saw had that earlier. Don't put them into combat, into melee. They're very, very bad indeed. And also they go down so easily, but they do have 9 health. And they do have that protection as well. So again, there's some value in there. Worth pointing out with protection as well. It's only damage is applied at sort of towards the end of the timing chart. So if you are pushed off a point and you are reliant on that point for protection, then if at the point the damage is applied, you're no longer contesting it, then you're going to take all of the damage. You're not going to block it by 1. So just another point there that I thought was worth making. I really like these guys, but they have some stiff competition for that 3-cost slot. So because of that, I still think they're perfectly fine, perfectly serviceable. They are going to go into B tier, and I'm actually going to put them. They're going to go above Echo and Wrecker. Like, guys, don't underestimate the B1s. They are solid when it comes to damage output. And you know, if you manage to really get a good roll with these guys, they're maxing out at 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 damage, which is not to be sniffed at from a primary unit. Oh, sorry, from a support unit even. Okay, going into the 4th cost option for the Separatists, it is the B2 Battle Droids. These are my droid of choice. I try and take lists that lets me take the B2 Battle Droids. I really, really like them. Relentless Advance, it's going to cost 1. They get to do a dash. Saturation Fire, so reactive abilities, you're only going to get to use it once. Or once per activation. So both of them can't use it, but it costs 1. So they're going to affect one of your characters, but they're going to add 2 dice if you're targeting somebody who is contesting an active objective. But it will work not only in their turn, but if you're making them do an out of action attack as well. So that 5 dice attack that you get from Kalani and Kraken for Tactical Network, I think it is, you can up that to 7 and then up it by 1 more to 8 because of Kalani, because why would you not be running Kalani? 8-2 durability and stamina, and then enhanced blast protection. These guys have an interesting chart, but look at that damage. Shove on 1, 2 shoves on 3. Really, really, really good. They're not going to get any extra successes at range, but they are going to get guaranteed damage, which is always really, really nice. So 1 success going through and 1 damage, and 1 expertise is going to be a shove and 3 damage, which is pretty darn good to say the least. I really, really like these guys. As I say, whenever I play Separatists, I am generally building a list that allows me to bring these guys with me. So because of that, they are going to go into A tier. Okay, on to the absolute superstars when it comes to support for the Separatist Alliance is the other 3-cost option, the MagnaGuard protection protocols. when a SEP Alliance primary unit makes a move action, they get to move towards them, or one of them gets to do an advance towards them. They've got bodyguards they're going to be giving other primary and secondary within 2. They're going to give them cover 1, which again will stack with everything else. Intercede, we've already seen it on the Handmaidens, but this time it's on a 3-cost character or a 3-cost unit that has 10 stamina. And their combat tree and their stance card is not to be sniffed at. Look at that expertise. Now the big thing with these guys, and the reason that they've got the extra health, is they do not have a ranged attack. But guess what, guys? They don't need it. They've got so much movement that they do not care. But look at that, guys. 2 shoves on 2 results. And if you roll 1 expertise, you're going to get 1 crit. 2 expertise, you're going to get 2, which is very, very nice. You've got the 3rd one in there should you need it. You've got a reposition in there as well. They can also randomly do a disarm, which is a bit random, but there we go. These guys are kind of everything that you want a support unit to be. In my mind, they are... I'm going to say I think they're probably the best support unit in the entire game for what they do. They excel even more when they're with when they're in the SEPs. So no surprise, guys. They're going to go to the very, very top of S tier. They are so good. Okay, let's get on to the Mandalorians, who, by the way, guys, have just had a brand new Mandalorian leader released. I haven't done a breakdown on him yet, but I will be doing so. These guys now have a potential home. So they're going to be 4 costs. These are Clan Kryze Mandalorians. 4 costs 7-2. Jetpack, Mandalorian stronger together. Helmet visor. So these guys have the Sharpshooter 1, which leans into the Mandalorian stronger together because you get the free focus action, which is it's fine. Like these, you know, it's fine. They do have 2 shoves, which are, you know, kind of okay. On 2, no, actually they're good, right? It's 2 good shoves, but their expertise trees isn't as good. You know, 1 and 2 expertise only giving them 1 extra success, which is a little bit, but you know, it is what it is. The tree's not bad for me. These guys are the lesser of the Mandalorians, and I want to preface this ranking with the fact that I haven't had chance to play them yet with Din Djarin because, oops. Spoiler alert as to what's coming next. I haven't had the chance to play them yet with Din Djarin. Their stock may go up, and I do think their stock is only going to go up when other Mandalorians come out. But for me right now, they're just a little bit lackluster. For me, I much prefer their yin to their yang. So I'm going to put them into... Oops, let's not do that. I'm going to put them into B tier, I think. But they're going to go down at the... They're going to go here. They're going to go here. I think that's fine. I think that's absolutely fine. I think that's a good... I think that's a good place for them. Okay, moving on to the Mandalorian Super Commandos. So why do I prefer these guys? So they've got all the same things. The 2 things that they have that are different. First of all, extra health, which is, you know, is nice, right? It's real good. Extra health be good, keeps them alive longer. No mercy when an enemy character that is engaged with 1 or more characters in this unit either advances or dashes. After the move is resolved, they suffer 2 damage. This works whether they are wounded or not. So that's real nice. And then they've got victory or death, so they've got impact 1 rather than sharpshooter 1. They do have that Shadow Collective tag, which I really, really want them to do something around that. For me, the combat tree is kind of okay, but as you see here, it's the expertise. They're very much more of a melee unit. They want to get in there up close and personal. They work really well in a number of different places. Again, I haven't played them yet with Din Djarin. I play them in the in my Dathomirian list. You see them a lot with Vader, getting those extra dice in melee from Vader. So there's a couple of places where these guys working. You tend to see these guys around a little bit more than the other Mandalorians. And again, I think their stock has only gone up because of the release of Din, or the announcement of Din Djarin. We've obviously seen his card and the things. So for me, they're going to go into A tier. They're going to go just behind the Battle Droids. Yeah, I actually prefer the B2 Battle Droids, I think, to these guys. So again, my list, my rules. Okay, that is going to be it for the Mandalorians. Let's go on to the Nightsister Acolytes, our one and only Dathomirian support unit. So if you're playing Dathomir, you're probably going to be taking these guys. They have some really nice things. The problem is they go down very, very easily. Acrobatic Advance is like tactical maneuver, but just so much better because it's a jump rather than just a dash. They get the hunger token at the end of it. Coordinated Fire Exposed. Now, this is very, very good. Why is it not as good as the ARF Troopers? Well, you can run a team with the ARF Troopers where the rest of the board can use your coordinated fire. The maximum number of characters on the board that are going to be able to use the Nightsisters coordinated fire is going to be 2 primaries and 1 secondary. So only 3 other units, which is why it just doesn't have as much value. But these guys can dish out some damage. Darkness and Shadows, first of all, if you've got Hunker, they get 1 extra defense dice. We've seen it before. We know what it does. We know how the maths work. Night Hunter, when they make an attack as part of a combat action, if the enemy character that is engaged with another allied Dathomirian character, basically, if the person you're shooting is within range 2 of another Dathomirian, whether they are wounded or not, you're going to add 2 dice to your attack roll, which means on their melee attacks, they're going to be rolling 8, potentially up to 9 dice. They're maxing out at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage at range. But I mean, pin, expose, shove, they've got a jump, they've got a heal on there. Yes, their expertise tree isn't great. They do have the little extra thing of if you roll 4, you're going to get the crit. But when you're rolling so many dice, it kind of doesn't matter because you're rolling so many dice. I've had these guys take out an Obi-Wan Kenobi from 0 health or 0 damage to wounded in a single activation. They can do some really, really good damage. However, they are going to be limited to just playing with Dathomirians. I think I'd love to see another Dathomirian box, maybe with some Night Brothers in there as well as support units, so that so you've just got more characters on the board to be able to do things with. Also, and I've clicked off them now, but their defense is so bad. 4 at melee. As soon as you get somebody into melee with these guys, they are going down. However, I still really, really like them. That coordinated fire expose can be really, really good. I don't think they are. I don't think they're going anywhere near A tier. However, I think for me, they're probably going to be middle of the road B tier. Perfectly fine. You can probably these middle 3 here. You can probably swap around in any order you prefer. But yeah, there we go. Okay, let's talk about the Meth Care Bears, aka the Ewok Hunters. I've already said before, I thought I was going to really like the Ewoks when they talked to us about the gameplay and things. They come really hot out the gate. They're very offensive, which they are. Stealthy approach is just defensive maneuvers on crack. It's the dash, it's the hunker, and they get a focus action, which is crazy when they only cost 3. But I've tried them. They just don't synergize with me at all. Coordinated fire pin, it's nice, it's fine. It is only Ewok units, but obviously if you take Princess Leia with them, it's gonna work. It's gonna work with any other rebels because the rebels will be Ewoks as well. Camouflage, they get a hunger token at the start of the game. Yeah, I mean, you know, if you can use somebody else to move them up, they're not going to lose that hunker token. If you activate them first, it's gone. So it's a bit of a nonsensical thing, but it does mean that, you know, some of the sharpshooters out there, like the Gar Saxons, who can hit, you know, if they're the first activation, they can shoot you. I've just said that and then realised he ignores cover. Let's say Grievous, for example, might be able to, you know, might do something against him. Strength in numbers: when a character in this unit makes an attack as part of a combat action, for each other allied Ewok character engaged with the target that is not wounded, add 1 die to the attack roll. And then the Endor, Ewok, and Warrior. 8-2. Walkabout. I mean, their bow is pretty darn good. 1 crit off 1, and then a crit and a damage off 3, and then crit, hit, damage off 4. Again, access to a push, but only access at 3 successes, which you'd imagine you're going to be probably getting that focus from your stealthy approach every turn. So that should be going up to, you know, 7 dice. With that expertise, you'd hope to be getting 1 or 2 through, depending on who you're attacking. 3, I don't think you're going to get as often. But look, I think they're absolutely fine. I don't want to be too biased towards the Ewoks, because for me, again, like I mentioned, they're just really not my play style. And again, I thought they would be. But you know, it's fine. Like they're absolutely fine. No real issue with them. I think they're perfectly serviceable. I would have liked them to have, I don't know, something a little bit extra, but then we have to remember that they are a 3 cost. So for me, they're going to go into B tier. Again, I'm going to put them in this clump in the middle of, like, they're perfectly fine. There's, you know, they're perfectly serviceable. Mix and match those middle lot within that B tier there at your own discretion. Ewok Trappers, these are going to be the 4 cost version. They're only going to have 7-2 for stamina and durability, stealthy approach, camouflage, strength in numbers. So we get all of those. Battle tactics, primitive artifice. This is something new. When you create your starting order deck, you may include up to 1 primitive artifice battle tactics card. When you draw a battle tactics card, resolve the effects of that card, then draw another order card and continue your turn as normal. So let's take a look at that card first. And I do apologise, I will move it up ever so slightly so you can see the bottom part. Ewok Traps. Choose an active objective and roll an attack die. On a crit, each enemy unit that is contesting the chosen objective gains pin. Then push each enemy character that is contesting the chosen objective range 2 away from that objective, and then each pushed character suffers 2 damage. I mean, that is crazy. On a hit, everyone just suffers 2 damage. On an expertise, they get the pin and 2 damage. And then I'm not going to go down actually, because for a fail, they just get the pin. So varying degrees of goodness depending on what you roll. Obviously, you're looking for the crit on that one. You get the crit, and it can be crazy. You can be potentially taking out multiple units per turn. It's a really good way of being able to control multiple points. Remember, you get to control the order that they are pushed in. Also remember, this is a push. It's not a shove. So something like Steadfast isn't going to stop them. Let's have a quick look at their combat tree. Shove on 1 and a double shove. Really, really like that. Ranged expertise, obviously not great as you'd expect. Melee, a little bit better. Again, not great. Again, they've only got the 6 dice. They're going to have the Ewok in numbers. They're going to have, they're going to have the focus and things like that. So that's pretty good. Again, situational awareness isn't fantastic when it comes to defensive tech, and they do only have 4 defense in melee, and they are a melee character that you do want to get up there. However, I do think these guys are the better of the 2 Ewoks. That tactics, that card they bring that gets recycled time and time again, could be absolutely, game winning if it's done in the right place at the right time. So I actually quite like these guys. I quite like these guys. So for me, even though they're a little bit lackluster on the defensive side, for what they do, I'm going to put them into A tier. I just think if you roll a crit, it's a 1 in 8 on doing it, but if you do it, man, that is brutal. Even if you just get the damage or the push off, it can be very, very good. Very, very good indeed. Okay, let's take a look then at our Rebel Alliance card. It's going to be Lando and R2 inside job. Remember, this is the one where they're on separate bases. It's not 2 characters on the same base. Mingle. They get to make a dash. If there's nobody within 3, they get to advance instead. It's pretty fine. Nice opening move. Element of surprise. When this unit makes a combat action before dice are rolled, it may use this ability. Characters in this unit add 2 dice to the attack roll made as part of the combat action. After each attack is resolved, if the attack contained 2 or more failures, you get the expose special condition. So that's fine. Remember that you would, if the first one does it, if you attack with Lando, let's say, and he gets 2 fails and get an expose, then if R2 does the same, you are going to take a damage for that second expose, so just worth pointing out. Forward planning with an allied primary unit within 4 or an allied secondary unit within 4 starts its activation. The activating unit may remove 1 condition from itself. Again, we've seen that on the Bad Batch. It's pretty good. And then Clever Disguise. While this unit's order card is in the order deck or in reserve, characters in this unit cannot be targeted with ranged attacks. And there are 7 too, by the way, and there are 3. I really liked these guys at first, and then I played with them and played with them and played with them, and I gotta say, I'm becoming less and less of a fan. So we've got On the Sly, which is going to be Lando's side. Now, it's important to note that irrespective of who is attacking, you use the side of the card that you are on. So you can't, you don't switch for each one. So just worth pointing out there. It's pretty decent. It's got some heals on there. Shove on 2. Starting out with 2 damage. 3 damage and a shove. 3 damage and a shove on 2 successes is pretty good. They've also got some dice manipulation in that slippery. They're only running 5 dice, but again, they're support units. And the other side of his card, is it here? Oh, we don't have the other side of his card here. Bear with me 1 second. So guys, I've realised I've gone mad. It's not these guys that have the alternate ones. That's the other version of R2-D2. Remember I said, these are the ones on the 2 bases? So ignore me. This is just what they have. It's fine. It's absolutely fine. Again, it's really difficult to tell with these Rebels at the moment because we don't have many units out for them. Really outside the Ewoks and the pack that comes with Luke. There's not really anything else. They could get better when the Bad Batch comes out, for example. Sorry, not the Bad Batch. When the Rebel, Ghost Crew comes out, for example. We're going to get the Han and Chewie pack, which could up their value as well. So, I think their stock is only going to go up. For me, right now, again, I think I would have put them in A. I would have put them in A tier before, but I think I'm probably just going to put them middle of the road, B tier. Absolutely fine. Stock could go up as more characters get released, or it could go down if another 4 cost support comes out for the Rebels and they're so much better. Then yeah, maybe their stock goes down as well. Okay, Bounty Hunters, another faction that I really wanted to play. Now we've got the Mando card. Maybe we can make it work. They're an 8-2. They're going to be a 4. And they've got On the Trail, so they've got a tactic ability, which is unusual to see on a support, but it does mean they both get to make a dash towards an enemy character, but with the angles, that's going to be absolutely fine. Tools of the Trade, I really do like. So you spend a force and you get to choose one or the other. Within 3, enemy within 3 gains disarm, or they have sharpshooter 2. And then payday, after you reveal an order card, this unit may use this ability. If it does, this unit gains 1 tag of your choice until the end of the turn. So it means that you can make them work with other things. You know, it's a way of representing that they can work with anyone and anything. Let's have a quick look at their stance card. Shove on 1 is fine. The expertise is a little bit lackluster. Patchwork armor is okay. But they're only rolling 4 defense dice at melee, 5 at five at range. It's fine. They do have access to 2 shoves, but again, it needs 4 successes. But a shove is perfectly fine. You can be in a position where you can use 1 to shove them, and then the other one can shove them again. So 2 expertise guarantees you that shove, unless your opponent's got some dice manipulation. I really wanted to like these guys more. I think this ranking may be one that people get mad about potentially, but for me, guys, they are going to be our first entry into C tier. They don't have a fully fleshed out affiliation yet or faction yet, and in most other cases, at 4 cost, if you're playing another faction, there is an in-faction option that is better than taking the bounty hunters. And that's my biggest thing with these guys, is that, they're designed to be able to work with anyone, but actually what works with anyone is what they've already got. That was really bad English, but there we go. Anyway, okay, let's talk about IG-11 Assassin Droid, our highest cost, or the highest cost support unit in the game at 5. Is he worth that 5 cost? On the hunt. At the start of this unit's activation, this unit may remove 1 condition from itself, then one character in this unit may dash. It's pretty good. So again, he gets that tactic that not a lot of support units have. Multi-thread targeting protocol. After this unit makes an attack as part of a combat action, it may use this ability. 1 character in this unit may make a 5 dice attack, targeting a character in another enemy unit within range and line of sight. So he does what Aura Singh does, but he doesn't have to pay anything for it, which is nice. When we see his combat tree, you'll see why he's pretty darn good. Are you refusing my request? Each time a character in this unit makes an attack targeting any character that is contesting an active objective that you do not control, it may add 3 dice to the attack roll. If it does, and the defender is not wounded by the attack, lose a momentum. I love this. And a couple of things to note here. First of all, it's just an attack, not an attack action. So it works on multi-thread targeting protocols. And secondly, I love the risk reward. You can get 3 extra dice, but if you whiff and you don't take that person out, you're going to lose momentum. So the way that I would play this, now you could use it for both attacks, but that's risking a lot there. What I would generally do is, make my first attack against, somebody who has, more health and in range, and then follow up with the multi-thread targeting protocol on maybe somebody else who only has a couple of health left, and then use Are You Refusing My Request? It's also worth noting that this works with Grief Karga's ability as well, that lets you dash with a bounty hunter and make the 5 dice attack, making it up to an 8 dice attack. So you can do some pretty crazy things. And then lastly, victory through combat is impossible. While this unit is wounded, each time an opposing player gains a momentum token, if there are more enemy characters than other allied characters within range 3, roll 1 attack die for each wounded and injured token this unit has. If the roll contains any failures, each character in this unit may dash, then each character within 3 suffers 5 damage. After this effect is resolved, this unit is defeated. So that means taken off the board completely. They don't get a last hurrah. It's the self-destruction protocol, basically. This could win you the game. This could lose you the game, because it's each character. So it's not just your own. It's not just your own, not just your opponent's characters. It's everyone. 9/3, which 3 durability is very, very good indeed. So yeah, that's not to be sniffed at. Bondsman Guild Protocol. I mean, look at everything that he's got going on here. Reasonable amount of damage. What we're maxing out at there: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage. But remembering you've got that double tap. Actually, it's not a double tap; a tap into the same target, so you don't have the double tap. His expertise is really good, really, really good, and I'd like to have seen an extra 1 on his attack there, on his ranged attack. Survival directive is pretty darn good. That reposition on 2 is very nice. 7 dice range, 7 dice melee. I feel like the thing that he's missing is just that little bit. I'd have liked to have seen him with maybe an extra 1 or 2 damage dotted about this expertise tree, so that you could potentially get, maybe 2, 4, 6, 7, maybe 8 from the tree, and then 9 from the expertise would have been nice. But I think he's really fine. I think he's fun. I haven't had a chance to play a game with him yet. But I think it could be very fun, but it could be also a liability. Your opponent could really try and take him down and trigger that sort of self-destruct thing should they wish to, which losing him early could be really, really brutal. Towards the end of the game, perfectly fine. It's probably gonna win you the game. And so I'm a bit torn really as to where to put IG-11, because I love his car. That is very much my play style of character. But I think, we have to remember he's a 5 cost as well. He is a 5 cost. So I think for me, he is going to go into that A tier, but we're actually going to put him below the Ewoks. Again, people might scorn at this, but a lot of what he does is, you want to be taking characters out, and yes, he's got good expertise. He can attack multiple characters, but actually, it's even with those extra 3 dice, so you're rolling 10, your damage is still maxed out at 8, and that's what we have to remember. They're not infinite trees that we can loop around, so I think that's probably a fair place for him. Okay, let's talk about some pirates of the Weequay variety. These guys are going to be, I want to say they're a 4 cost. Yep, they're a 4 cost. Raiding party, each character may climb. It's weak. It's very, very weak. When you look at what other 4 costs have, you look at the Ewoks, for example, you look at the clones with their defensive maneuvers, or you look at the run and gun thing that they've got. This for me is a very, very weak very, very weak active ability. And it's a climb to maybe situations where you actually can't use it. Greedy, while the character in this unit is contesting one or more active objectives, it's steadfast. Yeah, it's fine, absolutely fine. And then Pack Hunter, when a character in this unit makes a melee attack targeting an enemy character that is engaged with another allied Weequay character, it adds 2 dice to the attack roll. They're an 8/2, they're Mercenary, Scoundrel, Trooper, and Weequay. So weirdly, they work with Plo Koon. Quick look at their combat tree. Look, shove off 1, perfectly fine. Expertise a little bit lackluster. 5/5 and then 4/4 for attack and defense. but obviously that melee can go up. Reasonable amount of damage. Look, I mean, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 damage maxing out if we include the expertise, which is only 1 less than IG. Now you are getting 2 attacks from these guys, but you know, still, that's why I was just a little bit downbeat about his damage that he can do. What do I think about these guys? I think overall the pirates are not very good, but I don't necessarily think they're not good because of the support units. If we compare them to the other 4 threats, really the only 2 things that are letting them down are, for me, the lackluster active ability that doesn't have another trigger on there, and the lack of access to crits from their expertise. I'm going to put them in C tier. I'm going to put them just behind the bounty hunters. I think there are better options out there. I really, really do. Okay, guys. Next up is the first of our Galactic Empire. First of 4, actually, Galactic Empire support units. The brand new Dark Troopers, who I have played a few games with. They are a 4 cost. Jump boots, again, it's fine. It's fine. It's just annoying when you see these other characters, these other 4 costs that have a little bit extra, but they do have some other things on their card that kind of make up for it, whereas for me the Weequays didn't, which is why they were scored so low. 8-2 durability and stamina. I'm going to skip that for a second. Immovable, so they cannot be pushed or pulled by abilities. They can be shoved, so they are immovable as long as you don't try and shove them. So important to note. Unrelenting, they have protection and immunity pin, which again, not being able to be pushed and immunity to pin can be really, really nice. Let's talk about coordinated fire. So every other coordinated fire in this game is a reactive ability, meaning that you can only use it once per turn, and meaning that even if it's a 0 cost, once you take your first wound token, it is going to cost 1. And when if you've got 2, it's going to cost 2. This is innate. Now, strain is perfectly fine. Like it can be a nuisance. It's only going to have an impact when your opponent does something. So less impactful as something like a pin or an expose or something like that. But it's the fact that it's innate. Now, if this is innate, these guys go very, very high. If it is reactive, then they are not as high. Now, why am I mentioning this? Well, the reason I'm mentioning it is there's some general confusion in the community at the moment. I've tried and I've looked and I still haven't seen anything official from AMG saying it's a misprint. So, and it's been a while since these packs have been out. So the longer it goes on, the longer it makes me think maybe it's not. So the way that we're going to rank them is we're going to rank them twice. I'm going to give you my first ranking, which is based on them being a reactive ability, and then I'm going to rank them as the card says, with it being a innate ability. Before I do that though, let's take a look at their combat card, or their stance card even. It's pretty good. Double shove on 3 is very nice. Good damage output, really good damage output. 2 extra results for 1 expertise, even though they're only hits, it's 2. So that's pretty darn good. Crushing punch, again, really good. And then they've also got some dice manipulation in defense as well. These guys are solid, absolutely solid. Right, where do I rank them? Who goes where? If the ability is reactive, then I would put them probably here. Probably at the top end of A tier. If, however, it is innate, I will put them up into S tier. And I'd probably put them above the ARF Troopers. I still don't think they're as good as MagnaGuards. Making that innate, as I say, outside of the whole wounds and paying force for it, it also means that it can be used as many times. So if another support unit is making an attack, you can use it on both of those actions, both of those attacks that you make. Again, we need to wait. We need to hear from AMG. If anyone has heard, let me know down in the comment section below. But please, please, please make sure you link back to your source and you don't just go, no, it's definitely going to be reactive, because that's what it is. We don't know yet. But as the card reads, they're going in S tier, as the card reads. Okay, let's talk about Fifth Brother. He's going to be a 4-cost. He is a Inquisitorious character, but he's also Galactic Empire, which, you know, does make him real good. He's a Force user, which doesn't affect much in the game at the moment. He's got a Force Repulse. Choose a character in this unit. Each other character within 2 gets pushed 2 away from it, which is really, really nice. 9/2 with protection and steadfast. He's a beefy old boy. Enfeeble. When a character with another allied Inquisitorious unit makes an attack as part of a combat action, before dice are rolled, basically you give them exposed. So it's coordinated fire, but they've given it a different name because it's a different thing. But the big thing for this guy is Inquisitorial Mandate. When determining control of an active objective that a character in this unit is contesting, if there is a tie, this unit's controlling player takes control of the objective. There's so many good things about this. It's really, really good. My big quandary now is he good enough to go into S, or does he make it to the top of A tier? And I think for me personally, he's going to go to the top of A tier. But as we get more Galactic Empire, then again, his stock could go up quite a bit. I think he has the potential to be a very, very good character. But as a single support unit, you're always kind of at a bit of a detriment because of the fact that you're only one unit. So even though he breaks ties, you have less board. You have less board control, basically. Rounding out his box, we've got Fourth Sister. Force Jump, Force Pull, which we've seen before, which is nice. She's also a 4 threat. Enfeeble, this time it's going to be a pin. Inquisitorial Mandate, when determining control of an active objective, yada, yada, yada. Swift Retreat, it's there, like, it's a thing. She's an 8/2. We didn't actually look at his attack there, but it's pretty darn good. Shove off 1, spinning lightsabers is fine. Peters out quite a lot. Reasonable-ish damage output. She can trigger an active ability, which is always quite nice. 6/5 defense is pretty darn good, but she doesn't have that protection or steadfast. For me, she's the lesser of the Galactic Empire supports at the moment. Again, stock goes up and down depending on other characters released. I think she's fine. Like, she's just absolutely fine. She probably goes about here-ish, give or take. It is what it is, sort of thing. Okay, rounding out the list then, guys. We have got the newest addition to the Galactic Empire. It's going to be the Stormtroopers. Assault Tactics. Pay a force, dash, take a damage, get a free focus action. Woohoo, we like that. For the Empire, action, and is choose an enemy character engaged with one or more characters in this unit and one of the allied characters. For the Empire, choose an enemy character engaged with one or more characters in this unit and one of the allied characters it is engaged with. Push the chosen enemy character away 2 from the chosen allied character. This unit gains expose. I don't think I don't think this is worth... This isn't worth an action. That's one of my problems with this, is it isn't worth an action. They are a 3 cost, like, you know, it's worth bearing that in mind. They are a 3 cost. And the way that the Empire seems to work is it's, you know, you take something, but you get something good. I think giving them the expose is enough. I don't think this should be an action. But anyway, only Imperial Stormtroopers are so precise. Characters in the unit have Sharpshooter 1, and then 9-2. And then if we move them over to here, take a look. They've got some, you know, they've got some interesting things. They've got access to 2 very early heals. And the reason for that is they're going to be taking the damage. They're going to be taking a lot of damage from the things that they want to do. Interesting, 1 expertise on the blaster rifle, pin somebody down. You roll 2 expertise, you're getting a pin, you're getting a crit, and you're getting a damage through, which is quite nice. I gather the way that this is supposed to work is, you know, you can move up with assault tactics. You can then use For the Empire, which pushes them away, and then you can make your attack. You've got the focus, and you've got the sharpshooter, giving you 2 extra dice. So then you're going up to 7, which means, you know, you'd hope that you can then get some heals in there so you can heal that expose off yourself. You get them off the point. Maybe you get the shove in there as well to push them even further with the pin, which means they can't move back on. So there's a few, you know, there's some nice synergy there. I think for a 3 cost, they do quite a bit. They synergize so well with the Stormtrooper Sergeant, as you would well expect. And I think they're going to be pretty solid. Like, I think they're going to be a solid 3 cost choice for the Empire. For me, guys, I'm going to put them into A tier, and I'm going to put them just above I'm going to put them here. That could change again. You know, oops, I did realize I didn't show you what I did there. So I did sort of put them here first, but I am going to put them here into A tier. And yeah, I think, you know, again, with these newer factions, it's difficult because, you know, we've got so many characters. You know, we can compare so many Jedis against each other. There's so many Galactic Republic units that we can compare against each other. So it's a little bit harder. All we can really do is compare them against other characters of the same threat level. And I think as far as 3 threats go, I think they're going to be pretty solid indeed. Sorry, 3 cost, not 3 threat. But that's the list, guys. Let me know what you think down in the comment section below. Again, it's really nice to see that everything's towards the top end, which, you know, which is good, right? There's only, and maybe there's an argument to say bounty hunters could be 1 higher. Maybe there's an argument to say that the 212 could be 1 higher. You know, the Handmaidens could get moved up a slightly little bit more, but, you know, I think overall it's the game is in, I think, a really good space at the moment. We're about to get some more new releases as well. And I think we're adding a little bit more variety, not just in the units themselves. Like, this is now a Mandalorian leader. This is now a 5 cost support unit. But actually in things like the expertise and what they're able to do. So I do really like that. I really like that we're getting lots of different things. I'm absolutely in love with the Bad Batch. I cannot wait for them to come out. I'm having a lot of fun playing with them at the moment. But yeah, let me know what you think down in the comment section below. As always, I'm sure I will have offended some of you. I'm sure some of you will hate me for putting the Weequay Pirates so low down, but hey, it's an opinion, and opinions are like arseholes. Everyone has one, and they're mostly full of shit. Guys, I want to give a big shout out to our Patreons. Thank you so much for everyone who supports us on Patreon. You can support us from as little as £1 a month. Also, you can become a YouTube member. There'll be a link. You can just press the join button and then you can join up for YouTube membership. But you don't need to do either of those things to support the channel. Just simply engaging with the content, liking, subscribing, sharing is amazing as well, would be greatly appreciated. I want to give a big shout out to Leodis Games, the sponsor of the channel. If you're looking for any MCP, any Shatterpoint, or indeed really any other gaming system, go and check them out. There'll be a link down in the description below. There'll also be a link to join our Discord, where we've just announced our latest event that's going to be kicking off this Sunday. So if you want to join an event, you can head on over and go and check that out. And as always, guys, it leaves me with just enough time to say stay well, keep safe, and until next time, may the Force be with you.